Oh, hello there, and welcome to a salty tier list or something, where I, ScottFalco, the best Monster Hunter player in the entire world, shall present you with the definitive tier list that is completely correct, and no matter what you say or do, you cannot change this 100% fact that I will be presenting you with right now. Because I have more of a following than you do, and if I don't, you clearly cheated to get your following, and YouTube hates my channel. It's not that my work is just mediocre. Shut up! Get the list!
Let's start with the classic, the Greatsword. This has always been a staple of the series, and it still does a good job of sitting still for 30 seconds to deal a buttload of damage with one swing. I don't think I've ever played a game with a Greatsword where we didn't cut the tail. The weapon turns away most with its speed, but those that stick with it, I always welcome to a hunt. And from what I've heard, Rageblade makes it fantastic, and I'll most likely give it a go once I get my other sets made. Here's a mix-up for you, though. I'll give the Insect Glaive a B. For bad bid, because it's trash, it's actually in D. I have people fight me on this all the time, but as someone who had to deal with the Je suis monté in 4 and then out-mounted them in World, watching these freaks flip-flop back and forth to deal 20 damage is always a strain. Yes, there are good Insect Glaive users, and it can be a good weapon. But 90% of the player base is going to focus on the flips instead of the bug. To be a little less biased, not that I ever would be, I'll start by saying how I actually mained Lance in Generations, and it hurts, but Lance just isn't very good this game. They were not kind to it, and it's heavily outclassed by multiple weapons. I used to love having them on a team to tank and spank, but now they just kind of barely pass with the tank. Granted, any weapon can bot baddies, but with the changes other weapons got, this one's just kind of left behind. Gunlance, however, oh doggy did you mains luck out here. I've always been fascinated by this weapon. I could never play it, but whenever one actually joined my hunt, they seem to lay down a lot of hurt, and minus getting blown away from wyvern fire once or twice a hunt, they never really caused any issues. But in Rise, you are Valstrax. They took the monster, slapped a shield on it, and said, "Ride, my friends. Ride." When it comes to range weapons, I don't really have a whole lot to say. I was never really a big fan of them. I tried playing light bowgun in World when I swapped to PC, but I don't know. They're so safe it almost isn't fun. In older titles, there was more of a risk of getting one-shot, but that's less of a thing nowadays. I haven't really seen bows online, and when I do, they're there. I know more picking it up because of It's Broken videos. The cheese grater definitely seems to dominate out of them with easy spam, and heavy bowgun just kind of got shafted this time, so I'll stick these two in B and heavy a tier below. I don't mind having them, but I just don't really enjoy their playstyle. A playstyle I do enjoy is the Swax, which has been my secondary this game. The silk bindings give it the mobility it desperately needed. Its move swaps too allow for a nice variety. One allows discharge to tank, fill up the swagometer for power-ups, but it doesn't allow the zero-sum discharge, which to those who don't know is the dentist move, where you literally attach to the monster's face and drill into its teeth, leading into an explosion which knocks you off, which can then also be comboed into your anime silk bind, causing you to slice through the enemy, leaving behind an after image that explodes later, and also charge up your swagometer. Invincible Gambit is definitely fun to spam when you're swagged up, but despite the name, it's not invincible. The weapon's pretty crazy, and the files allow for some nice mix-ups on monsters. Look, I know it got reworked, and it's good now, but I don't care. I've never liked the hunting horn. They never shut up about how they were a good hunting horn main and would talk about their buffs, but I knew at the end of the day their buffs couldn't make up for the lack of a 4th DPS. In Rise, it's reworked. It was broken in the demo, so now we got bandwagoners too. You used to have to plan a bit, and that's gone now. Whack a monster 3 times with inflated values to get a buff, screw over your teammates with Sonic Barrier, and continue to be redundant as both you and your weapon blow out a bunch of annoying noise. I'm indifferent about dual blades at this point. They used to be the go-to weed pick, but that's outclassed. And I'm seeing less people use them in general, and even less use them with names like Kirito. They tend to offer good elemental damage and just general DPS, but they also kind of focus the head a lot more, even with the tail intact. Hence why I'm putting it a little lower. I will admit, though, that watching them Beyblade down a monster's spine is pretty cool. This has always kind of been the starter weapon for most, but I actually enjoy that the sword and shield has become the support weapon of the game. With wide range, it's pretty great with quick team assists and buffs, and it's still decent at doing damage. Its silk bindings allow for some good tank and punish options as well. It's rare that I see these mains cart, and I generally stay pretty healthy with them on a hunt. Other cool YouTubers might argue that this should be higher, but pfft, what do they know? Imagine placing a not top tier weapon in top tier, like pfft. Get over your meme weapon, ugh. Unlike other things of the same name, these mains are pretty cool and have nice animations. I'm not the best with this bad boy, but who dang do I love it. I've always had the charge blade in pocket, even after its nerfs from being godlike in 4. A lot of people think this weapon is pretty technical because of guard points and resource management, and yeah, it can be. Or you can just use the new silk binding to tank a hit, get a full gauge that can combo into charging your sword shield or go into the finisher. And then you can have another bind giving you movement options so you could very easily go an entire hunt without taking any damage. while throwing down big blasty boo-boos, which could even knock out monsters depending on your files. I do hope they bring the Devil May Cry Charge Blade back. And for the worst weapon in the game, why, the most popular one, of course. And I know longsword mains are already going to chalk this up to me just hating something because it's popular. But let me let you in on a little secret. Every other hunter that doesn't use a longsword hates you. Here is my one nice comment for this weapon. I think it was great of the Rise team to include accessibility options in this game. Because if you want an easy mode, look no further. Holy fuck. Longsword has always been a high tier weapon because it's the most popular weapon. So of course the team won't nerf it and alienate a large player base. But this is without a doubt the most selfish weapon in the game. Not only do your stupid swings trip up teammates constantly, but you rarely focus tails because your big move's called the Helm Splitter. Your inflated values trivialize fights, and now it's gotten to the point where the longsword can defend better than the fucking lance. Oh, is that not busted enough? How about the fact that now even the great sword is outclassed with wake-up damage by this rod? The gauge is almost pointless. All you have to do is spam counter to kill things. Seriously, watch a longsword speedrun and tell me it takes skill. Look at this longsword hitbox and tell me it takes positioning. You tell others to build flinch-free because it's not built into their kit. Yup, that's right. Longsword gets flinch-free for free just by filling up the gauge. If you need a crutch, fine. If you enjoy it, that's great. But stay the hell out of my hunts and come on, this game is already the easiest title in the series. If you need that much of a crutch, why don't you just watch the cutscenes online since gameplay isn't a factor? You
hammer is the best. It's ooga booga big and it's ooga booga strong. When you main the ooga hammer, you can't go booga wrong.